10 starts right now.
How hot did it get in the car where little Cooper Harris died? That is one question Cobb County investigators set out to answer today.
And the Fox 5 I-team was the only station to report on tests conducted today on the SUV driven by Ross Harris. For the first time since Cooper's suspicious death, investigators brought the car back to the scene to reenact what happened. Now, Fox 5 has team coverage of this developing story tonight with Denise Dillon standing by. But we begin with I-team reporter Randy Travis, the only reporter at today's reenactment. Randy, what did you see out there today?
You know, Russ, it was an odd scene. People crossing the parking lot all day, heading to and from work at the Home Depot office building. While in a tiny corner, investigators quietly measured how quickly a little boy may have died in his dad's hot car.
A 90-degree day comes to an end for these investigators and analysts. Uncomfortably hot outside this 2011 Hyundai Tucson. Deadly hot for the 22-month-old boy who sat in this car seat for 7 hours. The last time this SUV was parked in this spot was on another 90-degree day when its owner, Ross Harris, left his son Cooper inside while he went to work in a nearby office. A death that became a national tragedy, then a worldwide horror story. Cooper Harris died in that car from hyperthermia. Scratches to his face and bruises to the back of his head, according to testimony last week, consistent with a child struggling to avoid what became a horrible death. His father, Ross, stands accused of murder. He claims he forgot his only child in the few minutes it took to drive from breakfast to the office. Authorities in Cobb County chose a similar hot day to test just how fast and just how deadly the temperatures inside would rise. With the windows sealed tight, the doors locked, the engine silent. The Fox 5 I-team watched as investigators started their test in the early morning, even driving Harris's car around in an apparent attempt to simulate what the temperatures inside would have been when Harris pulled into work that day. They tested conditions multiple times, including 9:30 a.m. when Harris says he pulled into the parking lot that day, 12:42 p.m. when Harris stopped by his car to drop off a box of light bulbs, a fact he neglected to tell investigators, and 4:30 p.m. when Harris got into his car with the windows still closed and drove more than a mile before he claims he first discovered his son had been left inside. Page Pate is a longtime Atlanta defense attorney, not related to this case.
Ideally, I'm sure they would like to have expert testimony that we know that Cooper would have been dead by whatever time of the morning it was, so that when Ross did come to the car, and we all know this, around noon, there's no way he could not have had some smell, the stench that was mentioned in court.
We're also getting for the first time some perspective on exactly how far away Ross Harris parked from his office. That's actually the fourth row in this parking lot. A detective testified last week that Harris passed at least one open space to reach that spot there, backed in between an already parked car and that curb where the tree is there.
Detectives say Harris told them he didn't notice his son in the back seat when he pulled into that space, waited 30 seconds, and then grabbed his satchel to head into the office.
His excuse was he fell asleep.
Multiple law enforcement sources also tell the I-team toxicology tests on Cooper came back clean, with no indication the child was given anything that might put him to sleep.
I think that's good for the defense. I think it would have been very difficult to deal with evidence that they had provided any sort of medication or drug to the child that would have made him, I guess, more relaxed or perhaps sedated during the course of the day.
That could help the defense or help the prosecution, who contend Cooper could not have fallen asleep, as Ross Harris claims, on the short drive to work.
No word on what those temperature readings showed. We're told today was actually a little more overcast than June 18th. I noticed plenty of clouds and Harris's car going in and out of the shadows, so the numbers may actually be on the conservative side. They also had multiple fixed cameras set up around the car, a lot of evidence that could one day be in the hands of a jury. Back to you.
Yeah, what we know already is too much to consider. Randy, how hot does it have to get inside a car for a child to die?
There's a lot of research out there, Russ. One expert said that a child, an infant, gets a lethal body temperature of 108 degrees. So 108 degrees, the child dies. Well, one expert says if the temperature outside is 86 degrees, the air inside the car will heat up in only 15 minutes to 109 degrees. So clearly it would heat up very fast in that car. The question is, how long would it take for a child to die in a car like that, and that's what the analysts are going to take with this information and try to figure out and present it to some experts so that they can get a better handle on the timeline. Very rough to figure this out, but a timeline on when Cooper died.
Randy, thanks very much.